Hi, I'm Kyle, and I'm going to help you set up your computer for this program. So this is the Mac OS instructions. If you are on Ubuntu, it's a slightly different setup. These are notated in the instructions, but I'm going to focus on the Mac OS instructions right now. So the first thing we want to do is set up our terminal. Sometimes you'll hear this called a shell or the command line or the CLI or something like that. But that's the main way you're going to interact with your computer in this program. So you have one of these that's installed already. It's called, shockingly, Terminal. But there's a better one out there for macOS called iTerm2, and we're going to use that one. So to do this, you're going to go over to the site, you're going to download this, we're going to open it with the archive utility, and then double click on it to install. I already have it installed, but if you click open here and follow the instructions, you'll be in good shape. So the next thing that we want to do is open it up. So we want this application iTerm2. And the first thing that we need to do is follow these instructions here. So we go up to Profiles up in the menu. We're going to open Profiles. Then we're going to go to Edit Profiles. And then here in the General area, we're going to go down to this Command area. We want to make sure this says Login Shell, not something else. As long as this says Login Shell, we're in good shape. So once you've done that, we're going to close all this up. And then you want to Command Q to just completely kill off all of your open terminals. All right, step one down. So next thing that we want to do is install Homebrew. So we're going to open up iTerm again. And this whole command over here, you can probably run the whole thing. If you already have Xcode installed, sometimes it causes problems. So I'm going to just do this Xcode part separately. And it goes, hey, you already have these. So then we can start the next part of this. I'll probably update the instructions to reflect that. But you're going to run this part of it. And so we're going to hit return to continue. You're going to put in your computer password. This is the same one that you log into your computer with. And this part might take a while. Totally normal. It might also look like your computer froze and a variety of other things. Or sorry, and sometimes that happens when you're installing the actual packages too. But sometimes those take a while. That's totally normal. So this next one, we want to do which brew. This will tell us whether or not this last step worked. If we can type which brew and hit enter, if you see something show up on the screen there, you're in good shape. All right, next. We want to run this command here. So this one also might take a while. That's totally normal. So what this is doing is downloading and installing a bunch of programs that we'll use in the software engineering immersive. It'll come in handy. Ordinarily, you would be going to websites and downloading these and double clicking to install them and that kind of stuff. But we can just do all of that on the command line now, which is pretty cool. Cool. So we're done. Next step, installing RVM and Ruby. macOS actually comes with a version of Ruby already installed. We don't want to use that one. We want to have a lot more control over which version of Ruby that we're using. So we should be able to take this whole command here. Cool. We'll know that this part worked if we can, oops. So see how I'm still actually in this command here? We want to hit enter first before we do anything. Cool. So we'll know that this worked if we can type command-v RVM. If we see the word RVM show up there, we're good to go. If you don't see the word RVM there, stop. Try running this command again from the GPG2 up here. And if that doesn't work, reach out to an instructor and let's get you squared away. This is a really important one to make sure that we have this working before we do anything else. Okay, but if you saw RVM show up there, you're in good shape. So what we're going to do is run these two commands. It's telling me that I need to open up a new shell. Not a problem. So just like before, I can quit iterm2 or do Command Q. Let's try installing those again. This is another one that might take a second. Okay, so now that that's done, I can hit enter to make that my default Ruby. Now, if I do this correctly, I should be able to type which Ruby, and the thing that shows up on the screen should be this kind of long looking thing that has a .rvm and the 261 and all that sort of stuff. If I see something that just says /bin/Ruby, I'm still using the Mac one. That's not the one that I want. So I would go back and try to run these two commands again. All right, moving on. Next thing we want to do is install some gems. Now, like I can't underscore this one hard enough. Never, never, never sudo gem install anything. You might see instructions online that say to do that somewhere, or you might try doing something and it tells you like, oh, you're not an administrator. Have you tried running this with sudo? Don't do it. Gem code is just code that anybody wrote. You could write a gem, I could write a gem, and also somebody who wants to maybe not do things to your computer that are all the way on the up and up might also write a gem. And when you sudo install something, you're giving it administrative permissions for your computer. So very careful, never, never sudo gem install something. All right, if we run these two commands, these also might take a little bit, that's okay. Cool. So this is done. Now I still need to hit enter to run the rest of that command that I copied over. So I'm going to do that. This one might take a second also. Okay, so we got this. I'm not too terribly worried about that one right now. Let's try typing which rails, and if we see something like that, I think we probably did okay. Very nice. So this next thing, installing NVM and Node. So we're all set up, ready to go in Ruby land. So we also do some stuff in JavaScript in this program. So for this one, we're going to copy this command and run it in our terminal. It's another one that might take a second. Cool. Just like in some of the other commands, we're going to make sure we hit enter at the end of these. All right, very nice. Now let's try command -v nvm. And if we see nvm show up on the screen, we're all right. So given that that worked, we're going to run these commands right here. Cool. We're going to hit enter at the end to run that last command. Doing good so far. All right. So for this next one, we have another package manager. So we've done 3 package managers so far. We've done Brew, which installs software for our computer. We've done some gem installs, which install Ruby software for our projects. And now we're going to do npm installs, which install JavaScript software for our projects. So I'm going to copy over these and run it. Cool. So if I can run which light server and see something show up on the screen, that worked correctly. Very nice. Almost there. So the next thing that we want to do is run this git command. But we want to swap out, one of these one at a time, because we want to swap out what these are for our actual name. So we'll take this one. It's kyle.coberly@flatironschool.com. Cool. So I run that. Over here, I'm going to change this name to my name. Good to go. So this next link here, this is going to take us to instructions on how to connect to GitHub with SSH. We don't need to worry a ton about what SSH is or anything like that for right now. What we're going to do is we're going to generate a new SSH key and we're going to add it to our SSH agent. So we do that by opening a terminal and then copy and pasting this in. Notice I didn't take in this little $sign. Anytime you see one of those $signs, don't copy and paste that part of it. Change this out for the email address I used before. kyle.coberly@flatironschool.com. And we're going to hit enter to just blast through that. I already have one in here. I actually don't want to overwrite it. But, and if you already have one too, then cool, you're good to go. Don't worry about it. If it prompts you to enter a password, I'd recommend just hitting enter. It's more secure if you add a password, but you're going to regret that at some point in this program when you've typed your password for the millionth time. So if you just hit enter right through that part, that's what I'd recommend doing. Okay, so for this next part, we're going to take this eval line, we're going to copy that, and run that. And then the last part of this is running that. Cool, done, good to go. So if you're running a later version of macOS, you may need to open up this file here. I don't think I have that on mine. Let me take a look. So I'm going to type cat/.ssh/config. Cool. So I don't have those on one of mine, but you may need to open that up with a text editor and add this part to it. I kind of doubt it though. All right, so next step is we need to add this to our GitHub account. So we're going to run this command, the pbcopy command. And what that does is that copies our this key that we just created. It's going to put it in your clipboard. That's the thing that works with copy and paste. So I run that. Nice. If I go over to GitHub and log in, that's not what I want. Sign in. There we go. Pull up my authenticator. All right, and we want to go to settings in your profile. So that is over here, settings. We want to go to SSH keys. And then we want to make a new SSH key. And you can call this my MacBook Pro. This is just something that's going to distinguish this from any other computers that you might use with GitHub. And then we're going to paste this long key in here, add it, and it shows that I'm already using it. But you should see that added to your screen here. All right, now you have connected your computer with GitHub. Very nice. So next thing, we want to set up Zish. So we're going to start by running these commands. This is going to upgrade our shell. So we've currently been using Bash. If you're using a newer version of macOS, you probably have ZSH or Zish already. But this will install some goodies as well. So we'll run that. Do we want to change our default shell to Zish? Yes, we do. Whenever you see one of these things here with a capital letter and a lowercase letter, the capital letter is what's going to happen if you just hit enter. There's no harm in hitting Y also. So it's going to ask you for your password. Again, this is the password you use to log into the computer. Cool. If you see this little tilde on your command line, this worked correctly. So then we're going to close all instances of the terminal with our Command Q again. We're going to reopen. All right. Now we need to install learn. So we can do that by just typing learn. Who am I? Cool. And so if we see this, you might get some instructions that you have to follow. All that's fine. But we got learn set up now. Very last thing, we're going to set up our text editor. I'm a big fan of Vim, but VS Code is probably what 95% of students use. So if you're not already emotionally attached to Atom or Sublime or something else, VS Code is a very fine place to start. So if we go over here and we download VS Code for Mac, I'm going to open this installer. And if you see this screen, you are ready to go. Your computer is set up and ready for the Flatiron Software Engineering Immersive program. If you ran into any problems in this process, don't panic. You're a professional computer breaker now, or at least certainly about to be. So don't worry about it. All this stuff is undoable. We can fix whatever. So go back through the instructions, find the step that you got stuck on, go back to the beginning, start over again. If something really isn't working, reach out to an instructor and let's get you taken care of. And I look forward to seeing you in the program. Cheers.